And that's sort of the fascination of Neanderthals. They're almost us, but they're not quite us.
In the vast tapestry of human history, the origins of Native American ancestry have long remained shrouded in mystery. However, a groundbreaking discovery in Montana is poised to rewrite the annals of our past. Darrell Dusty Crawford, bearing the Blackfoot name Lone Bull, has unveiled a genetic lineage that predates known Native American ancestry.
Millions of people around the world joining ancestry websites. So how does the science actually work?
Challenging long-held beliefs about the peopling of the Americas. This video delves into the profound implications of America's oldest DNA, a revelation that not only reshapes our understanding of Native American heritage, but also redefines the narrative of human migration. The revelation from Montana, Darrell Dusty Crawford's ancestral journey. In the heart of Montana, where the vast plains kiss the sky, a revelation was stirring that would send ripples through the annals of history. It began with Darrell Dusty Crawford, a man whose roots were as deep as the ancient lands he called home. Born into the Blackfeet Nation, he bore the proud name Lone Bull, a moniker that spoke of a lineage steeped in the rich tapestry of Native American heritage. Crawford's journey into the past was ignited by a simple yet profound desire to understand where he came from. This quest for ancestral knowledge led him to an unexpected crossroads between tradition and modern science. In a bold move, he submitted his DNA for genetic analysis, hoping to glean insights into his family's lineage. Little did he know that his sample would unlock secrets that predated the oldest known Native American ancestry. The results were nothing short of astonishing. Crawford's genetic markers revealed a lineage stretching back an incredible 17,000 years, making his DNA the oldest ever discovered in North America. This revelation sent shockwaves through the scientific community, challenging long-held beliefs about the peopling of the Americas. For decades, the prevailing theory was that the first inhabitants of the continent were the Clovis people, who were thought to have arrived via the Bering Land Bridge roughly 13,000 years ago. But Crawford's DNA told a different story, one that spoke of a human presence in North America far older than previously imagined. As scientists delved deeper into Crawford's genetic code, they uncovered evidence of a hitherto unknown migration of people into the Americas. His DNA was distinct from that of the Clovis and other Native American groups, suggesting a lineage that branched off from its Asian ancestors much earlier than any known migration. This discovery raised intriguing questions about the early peopling of the Americas and the complex web of migrations that shaped the genetic tapestry of its first inhabitants. Crawford's ancestral journey also cast a spotlight on the rich history of the Blackfeet Nation. For centuries, the Blackfeet have been the custodians of vast stretches of land that span from the Rocky Mountains to the prairies of Montana. Their oral histories, passed down through generations, speak of a deep connection to these lands that predates written history. Now, with Crawford's DNA as a tangible link to the past, the ancient lore of the Blackfeet found new validation in the annals of science. The enigma of human migration, revisiting the Bering Land Bridge theory. For decades, the Bering Land Bridge theory stood as the cornerstone of our understanding of human migration into the Americas. It proposed a narrative of how the first peoples journeyed from Asia to North America during the last ice age, crossing a land bridge that emerged due to lower sea levels. This land bridge, known as Beringia, was thought to have connected present-day Siberia and Alaska, serving as the gateway for the initial peopling of the New World. The theory was bolstered by archaeological findings, primarily the Clovis culture, which presented the earliest widespread evidence of human activity in North America, dated to about 13,000 years ago. However, the sands of scientific certainty began to shift as new discoveries emerged, challenging the timeline and singularity of the Bering Land Bridge migration. The case of Darrell Dusty Crawford's ancient DNA from Montana was a striking example, suggesting a far older human presence in the Americas. His genetic markers painted a picture of a lineage that diverged from its Asian ancestors well before the Clovis people, hinting at a more complex migratory history than previously envisioned. The implications of these findings were significant, prompting a re-evaluation of the Bering Land Bridge theory. researchers began to consider the possibility of multiple waves of migration, occurring at different times and possibly through different routes. This hypothesis was supported by other archaeological sites predating the Clovis culture, such as Monteverde in Chile and the Bluefish Caves in Yukon, Canada, which suggested a human presence in the Americas earlier than the land bridge was thought to have been passable. Moreover, advancements in genetic analysis further complicated the narrative. Studies of ancient and contemporary indigenous populations revealed a genetic diversity that could not be easily accounted for by a single migration event. Instead, the genetic tapestry pointed to a series of migrations, with groups branching off at different points in time and following various paths into the New World. This painted a picture of a dynamic and intricate migration history, characterized by adaptability and resilience in the face of changing climates and landscapes. The evolving understanding of human migration also brought to light the role of coastal routes. As researchers reconsidered the timing and feasibility of the Bering Land Bridge, the idea of early humans skirting the Pacific coastline gained traction. This coastal migration theory posited that groups could have used boats or followed the shorelines to move from Asia to the Americas, potentially reaching the southernmost tips of South America earlier than the interior regions. Genetic echoes from the Ice Age, insights from ancient DNA. The Ice Age, a period of profound climatic shifts and environmental transformations, has long held mysteries about the movements and adaptations of ancient humans. But with the advent of advanced genetic technologies, scientists have begun to unravel these mysteries, using ancient DNA, aDNA, as a powerful tool to peer into the distant past. The extraction and analysis of aDNA from Ice Age specimens have provided unprecedented insights into the lives of our ancestors, reshaping our understanding of human evolution, migration, and survival during this pivotal era. The journey into the genetic echoes of the Ice Age began with the extraction of DNA from well-preserved remains found in permafrost and caves, environments that provided the cold and stable conditions necessary for the long-term preservation of genetic material. These remains included not only human bones and teeth, but also those of Ice Age megafauna like mammoths, saber-toothed cats, and giant ground sloths, as well as microorganisms trapped in ice cores. The genetic data extracted from these samples offered a window into the biodiversity of the Ice Age and the complex interactions between humans and their environment. One of the most striking revelations from Ice Age aDNA was the evidence of previously unknown human lineages. The sequencing of genomes from ancient remains revealed the existence of groups such as the Denisovans, an enigmatic sister group to Neanderthals, whose genetic legacy persists in modern human populations, particularly in Asia and Oceania. The discovery of these lineages underscored the rich tapestry of human ancestry and the likelihood of multiple out-of-Africa migrations, some of which left faint genetic echoes in present-day humans. Moreover, aDNA has shed light on the relationships and interactions between different human groups during the Ice Age. Genetic analysis has revealed instances of interbreeding between Homo sapiens, Neanderthals, and Denisovans, illustrating a complex web of relationships that influence the genetic makeup of contemporary humans. These genetic exchanges also provided clues about the movements of ancient peoples as they migrated across continents, adapting to diverse and changing environments. The Ice Age was a time of significant climatic challenges, and aDNA has provided insights into how ancient humans and other species adapted to these conditions. For instance, genetic studies have identified specific genetic adaptations in Ice Age humans, such as changes in skin pigmentation, fat metabolism, and cold resistance, highlighting the evolutionary pressures exerted by the harsh Ice Age climate. Similarly, the analysis of ancient megafauna DNA has offered explanations for the extinction of many Ice Age species, pointing to a combination of climatic changes and human impacts. Alternative theories beyond the Bering Strait. For decades, the Bering Land Bridge theory has stood as the predominant explanation for the initial peopling of the Americas. According to this theory, during the last Ice Age, a land bridge known as Beringia connected what are now Russia and Alaska, allowing ancient humans to migrate from Asia to the Americas. However, recent discoveries and advancements in various scientific disciplines have led to the emergence of alternative theories that challenge this traditional narrative and suggest a more complex picture of early human migration into the New World. One compelling alternative theory posits that the first Americans arrived not by land, but by sea. Proponents of the coastal migration hypothesis argue that ancient humans could have traveled along the Pacific coastline using simple watercraft. This maritime route would have provided a rich ecosystem for hunter-gatherers, with abundant marine resources to sustain them. Archaeological evidence from sites like Monte Verde in Chile suggests that humans were present in the Americas much earlier than the opening of the ice-free corridor traditionally associated with the Bering Land Bridge, lending support to the coastal migration theory. Another intriguing proposition is the Solutrean hypothesis, which postulates a transatlantic crossing from Europe to North America during the last ice age. Proponents point to similarities in stone tool technology, particularly the distinctive Clovis and Solutrean points, as evidence of a possible connection between Upper Paleolithic Europeans and the earliest inhabitants of the Americas. Although this theory remains controversial and lacks strong genetic and archaeological backing, it highlights the potential for transoceanic contacts in prehistory. Furthermore, recent genetic studies have opened the door to alternative scenarios. Analysis of ancient DNA has revealed complex patterns of human migration and interaction, with evidence of early and diverse populations in the Americas that cannot be easily explained by a single migration event through Beringia. These genetic findings suggest multiple waves of migration and possibly multiple entry points into the continent, challenging the simplicity of the Bering Land Bridge model. Another perspective comes from indigenous oral histories and traditional knowledge, which often tell stories of origins that differ markedly from scientific narratives. Some indigenous peoples speak of ancestral ties to the land that stretch back to a time before the last ice age, suggesting a deep, rooted presence in the Americas. While these accounts have often been overlooked or dismissed by mainstream science, there is a growing recognition of the value of indigenous knowledge in understanding the complex history of human settlement in the New World. DNA testing and ancestry, unraveling the threads of the past. In the quest to understand human origins and migrations, DNA testing has emerged as a revolutionary tool, allowing us to peer back in time and unravel the complex tapestry of our ancestry. This scientific leap has not only transformed our understanding of the distant past, but has also had profound implications for individuals seeking to connect with their own ancestral roots. The journey into our genetic past begins with the extraction of DNA from either living individuals or ancient remains. Modern DNA testing focuses on several key areas: the autosomes, which are the non-sex chromosomes inherited from both parents, the Y chromosome, which traces paternal lineage, and mitochondrial DNA, mTNA, which is passed down from mother to child. Each of these genetic markers provides a unique glimpse into our ancestral history, revealing connections and migrations that have shaped the human story. Autosomal DNA testing is particularly popular for genealogical purposes, as it provides a broad overview of an individual's ancestry, reflecting the myriad of ancestral lines that converge in a single person. It can reveal ethnic percentages, geographic origins, and even connect individuals with distant relatives. However, this type of testing can only reliably trace ancestry back several generations, as the genetic contribution of individual ancestors becomes increasingly diluted over time. In contrast, Y chromosome and mtDNA testing can peer much further back, tracing direct paternal and maternal lines, respectively, deep into the past. These tests are powerful tools for understanding ancient migrations and population dynamics, as they remain relatively unchanged over many generations. For instance, the distribution of certain Y chromosome or mtDNA haplogroups can reveal the movement of populations across continents and through time. Ancient DNA, aDNA testing takes this a step further by extracting and analyzing genetic material from archaeological remains. This has allowed scientists to reconstruct the genomes of individuals who lived thousands of years ago, shedding light on prehistoric populations and their movements. For example, ADNA studies have been instrumental in uncovering the complex patterns of migration and interaction that shaped the early peopling of the Americas. While the scientific insights gained from DNA testing are undeniably profound, the personal impact on individuals exploring their ancestry is equally significant. For many, DNA testing offers a tangible link to the past, providing a sense of identity and connection to a broader human story. It can uncover previously unknown relatives, connect individuals with their ethnic heritage, and even resolve long-standing family mysteries. However, the rise of DNA testing for ancestry purposes also raises important ethical and social considerations. Issues of privacy, consent, and the potential for unexpected or sensitive discoveries must be navigated with care. Additionally, the interpretation of genetic data in the context of complex historical and cultural backgrounds can be challenging. Ancestry is not solely defined by genetics. It is also shaped by language, culture, and lived experience. The cryogenetic breakthrough, tracing back 55 generations. The realm of genetics experienced a watershed moment with the advent of cryogenetic technology, a pioneering technique that has extended the boundaries of our ancestral knowledge to an unprecedented extent. This breakthrough in the field of genetic preservation and analysis has enabled scientists to trace human lineages back 55 generations, offering a breathtaking vista into our species' odyssey through time. This journey into the past is predicated upon the remarkable preservation of genetic material. Cryogenetics, at its core, is the science of extracting and analyzing DNA from remains that have been naturally or artificially preserved at sub-zero temperatures. These icy conditions serve to arrest the degradation of genetic material, thereby providing a pristine genetic repository that has stood the test of time. The crux of this technique lies in its ability to amplify and analyze ancient genetic sequences that were previously inaccessible. Using sophisticated methods such as polymerase chain reactions, PCR, and next-generation sequencing, scientists can now delve into the genetic blueprint of individuals who walked the Earth thousands of years ago. The implications of this are profound, offering insights into the genetic diversity, health, and migration patterns of ancient populations. One of the most striking revelations of cryogenetic research has been the ability to trace lineages back 55 generations. This level of ancestral depth is unparalleled, transcending the typical horizons of written records and traditional archaeological evidence. Through this lens, we can trace the genetic footprints of individuals who lived in the shadows of history, whose stories were never chronicled in the annals of time. The implications of this for our understanding of human history are immense. Cryogenetics has shed light on the migratory sagas of ancient peoples, revealing how they traversed vast and inhospitable landscapes to settle new territories. It has unearthed connections between disparate groups, illustrating the intricate web of kinship and interaction that spanned continents and millennia. Furthermore, the ability to trace back 55 generations has provided a new dimension to the study of human evolution. It has elucidated the genetic adaptations that enabled our ancestors to survive and thrive in diverse environments, from the arid expanses of the Sahara to the frigid reaches of the Arctic. By examining the genetic markers of ancient populations, scientists can trace the emergence and dissemination of genetic traits that define our species today. The cryogenetic breakthrough has also had a profound impact on individuals seeking to understand their ancestral heritage. For many, the ability to peer back across 55 generations has provided a sense of continuity and belonging, linking them to a distant past and a tapestry of human experiences. It has allowed people to connect with ancestors whose existence was previously unknown, bridging the chasm between the present and a distant epoch. Reinterpreting history, the Pacific Connection, and its implications. The tapestry of human history is an intricate one, woven with threads of migrations, conquests, and cultural exchanges that have shaped the world as we know it today. Traditional historical narratives have often portrayed the story of human migration and interaction in a linear and simplistic manner. However, recent revelations in the field of genetics and archaeology have cast new light on these narratives, particularly regarding the Pacific connection and its implications on our understanding of the past. For centuries, the prevailing belief was that the interactions between the peoples of the Pacific Islands, the Americas, and East Asia were minimal, if not non-existent, until the age of European exploration. This belief was rooted in the seemingly insurmountable barriers of the vast Pacific Ocean. Yet, emerging evidence suggests that these waters were not barriers, but highways that facilitated extensive contact and exchange between these regions. The Pacific Connection refers to the prehistoric interactions between the indigenous peoples of the Pacific Islands, the Americas, and Asia. This connection is now believed to have been far more significant than previously thought. Recent genetic studies have uncovered traces of Polynesian DNA in the indigenous populations of South America, indicating that these two seemingly disparate groups not only made contact, but also exchanged genetic material. This genetic footprint provides a tangible link that challenges traditional historical perspectives. Archaeological discoveries have further corroborated the genetic evidence. Artifacts such as fishhooks, canoe designs, and linguistic patterns bear striking similarities that cannot be dismissed as mere coincidences. These artifacts serve as cultural fingerprints that trace the roots of ancient navigators who traversed the Pacific Ocean, facilitating a flow of ideas, technologies, and genes. The implications of the Pacific Connection on our reinterpretation of history are profound. It paints a picture of a world that was far more interconnected than previously imagined. The vast Pacific Ocean, once thought to be a formidable barrier, was, in fact, a corridor that facilitated human interaction on a scale that rivals the Silk Road. This revelation necessitates a reassessment of the historical narratives related to the peopling of the Americas and the cultural evolution of the Pacific Islanders. Furthermore, the Pacific Connection challenges the Eurocentric view of history, which often downplays the achievements of non-European civilizations. The sophisticated navigational skills and seafaring technology of the Pacific Islanders, which enabled them to undertake these monumental voyages, deserve recognition and admiration. Their feats are a testament to human ingenuity and adaptability. A tapestry of lineages, the diverse genetic makeup of Native Americans. Peering into the genetic mosaic of Native Americans unveils a story as diverse and complex as the tapestry of cultures and languages that define them. The genetic makeup of these peoples is not a single thread, but a richly interwoven fabric of lineages, migrations, and interrelations that challenge simplistic historical narratives. Long before Europeans set foot on the American continents, a multitude of indigenous groups thrived across the vast and varied landscapes. From the Inuit in the Arctic tundras to the Mapuche in the Patagonian plains, each community adapted to its environment, developing unique cultural and linguistic identities. Yet beneath these differences lies a shared genetic heritage that tells a story of common ancestry and subsequent diversification. The initial peopling of the Americas is believed to have occurred at least 15,000 years ago, possibly much earlier, as ancestral populations migrated from Siberia into Alaska via the Bering Land Bridge. This bridge, now submerged, once connected the continents during the last glacial maximum when sea levels were significantly lower. The descendants of these early migrants spread southward and eastward, populating the continents in successive waves of migration and regional expansion. The genetic signatures of these pioneering populations are still discernible in modern Native American populations, albeit interwoven with subsequent layers of genetic input. Advances in ancient DNA, DNA technology, have allowed scientists to extract and analyze genetic material from the remains of pre-Columbian individuals, shedding light on the complex patterns of migration and admixture that occurred over millennia. One of the striking revelations from these genetic studies is the presence of multiple distinct lineages among Native American populations. These lineages, or haplogroups, trace back to different founding populations that migrated into the Americas at different times and followed various routes. Some groups journeyed along the Pacific coastline, while others traversed the interior corridors of the continents. Furthermore, the genetic diversity among Native Americans is not evenly distributed. There is a notable decrease in genetic diversity the further one travels from the Bering Strait, suggesting a serial founder effect as populations branched off and became isolated. This isolation led to the development of distinct genetic profiles in different regions, which are reflected in the myriad of indigenous groups across the continents. The future of ancestral research, encouragements and cautions. The realm of ancestral research stands at the threshold of a new era, buoyed by remarkable technological advances and a burgeoning interest in genealogy. The quest to understand our origins and trace our lineages has become more than a hobby. It's a journey into the heart of human history and identity. Yet as we embark on this journey, it's crucial to navigate the delicate balance between the potential benefits and the ethical, privacy, and socio-cultural concerns that accompany it. The encouragements in the field are numerous and compelling. Innovations in DNA sequencing technology have made it possible to analyze ancient and modern genetic material with unprecedented accuracy and affordability. This democratization of genetic testing has opened the doors for millions to explore their ancestry, uncover familial connections, and gain insights into their genetic health predispositions. Moreover, the growing databases of genetic information have the potential to revolutionize our understanding of human migrations, population dynamics, and the interplay between genetics and culture. These databases are treasure troves for researchers, offering the raw material for groundbreaking studies on human evolution, the spread of diseases, and the genetic underpinnings of certain traits. Collaborative efforts between geneticists, historians, anthropologists, and indigenous communities have also yielded richer, more nuanced narratives of human history. These narratives are not merely academic. They have profound implications for how individuals and societies understand their place in the tapestry of human existence. However, this bright horizon is not without its clouds. The cautions in the realm of ancestral research are significant and multifaceted. Privacy concerns top the video, as the sensitive nature of genetic information raises questions about who has access to it and how it is used. The potential for misuse is not trivial. Insurance companies, employers, or even law enforcement could exploit genetic data in ways that infringe on individual rights and freedoms. Ethical considerations also abound, particularly when it comes to the handling of ancient remains and the involvement of indigenous communities in research. The sanctity of burial sites and the respect for cultural heritage must be upheld, ensuring that research does not become an act of desecration or exploitation. The autonomy and informed consent of communities whose ancestors are being studied are paramount. Furthermore, the interpretation of genetic data in the context of race and identity is fraught with complexities. Ancestral research can challenge deeply held beliefs and identities, sometimes leading to contentious debates and identity crises. The notion that genetics defines race or ethnicity is particularly perilous, as it can reinforce stereotypes, fuel discrimination, and ignore the socio-cultural dimensions of identity.